Hello everyone, welcome to the Game Week selection of Gianni's team ahead of Game Week 33. It's an exciting one this week because the free hit button has been pressed, hasn't it, Gianni?
It has. I pressed it on, I think, Monday night to try and catch what I thought was going to be a price rise or two, and I don't think those players even went up. So, and also, I'll probably end up making a free hit draft and have money left in the bank anyway. Like it's fine. So yeah, I hit the button. I've got 2 free hits left. If I didn't have 2, I wouldn't be hitting it now, but I do have 2, unfortunately. I wish I'd used mine in that blank a few weeks back when I had 5 players play. But yeah, I'm semi-excited and semi-nervous.
I know. We'll come to it in a bit because I looked at it and I felt exactly the same. I was kind of semi-nervous thinking, oh, actually, this could do quite well. There's lots of players here who not many people own. And then another part of me was like, but actually, you're getting rid of a lot of players who could actually do quite well this week. So, yeah, we'll assess that kind of at the end. Until we do that, let's just reflect back on probably my worst game week of the season. This isn't my stream. I fell out the top 1K down to 1.6 now, so 1,000 lost, 200%, I think, something like that. Rank drop for me. Yeah, really brutal. Red arrow for you, but only a small one, right? A couple of thousand.
I'm yet to see someone that didn't have Son and got a green arrow. It was the week where if you had Son, you got a green. If you didn't have Son, you had a red. Because if you had Son, you probably captained him, right? Yep. So, and if you didn't, you probably had Kane captain, which was still okay. That yellow card meant he went from 2 bonus. He lost 6 points on that yellow card alone, I think, because he was on 2 bonus for captainers plus the point. So he lost 3 points, which was double to 6 from that yellow card. Anyway, it was one of those weeks where I kind of did all right. I had a very small red, and knowing I didn't have Son, I will take that all day long.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the people who kept Son, because I've been doing these podcasts for since the start of the season, but obviously the last few weeks I've been very much banging the drum. Son to Kane move, I would be locking that in. You've been saying the same. I think a lot of people have wanted to move for Kane and maybe haven't, for financial reasons, but a lot of people have stayed true to Son and said, elite player, he'll get his chances. And my God, has he taken his chances? Because his XG is not great, but he's triple double-digit hauls in a row now, 3 in a row. Yeah, so amazing for his owners and outscore Kane, and I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
No, I always fear like he can outscore Kane, but not by that much. I always feel like if Son outscores Kane, it'll be minimal, so it won't really hurt. But this was a mauling. Sure, Kane got 3 assists, but no bonus, and then Son 3 goals plus all 3 bonus and clean sheet point. Like, it really added up this week.
Well, Son captain has got basically what my entire team scored this week. So that sums up the week that I've had. Let's take a look at your Game Week 32. You got 66 points, which is, a good score. And you had, some good players here. But yeah, still the small red. Ramsdale in goal. Trent and Cancelo, your returners in defence. And then James, obviously benched again. Doherty going off injured. And they got the clean sheet, so all us owners are annoyed by that. And then Salah with 5, Havertz with 6, and then got subbed early. Saka with 1, and then your boy Rafinha coming in with 10 points. I've got 12, but it was 10. Double-digit haul for him, finally, rewarding all the people that have stuck with him all this time. And again, I don't want to keep mentioning my team, but going for Coutinho over Rafinha has really killed me because I thought Coutinho would get something, and then he should have had returns against Spurs, but obviously didn't. Kulusevski with 12, and then your Kane captain with 20. So yeah, let's talk about some of the unlucky things that happened in your team. Because James benched again. What do you make of that going forward? He was very impressive last night.
Oh, he's so good. I think he's the best right back in the world, and I know Trent fans won't like that, but he's just complete. He's the complete player in attack and, more importantly, for a right back in defence as well. And he actually played right centre back a lot last night and kept Vinicius Jr., their danger man, fairly quiet. But I think Chelsea going out the Champions League is good for FPL, for Chelsea FPL, right? Reece James is now going to start the vast majority of Premier League games. I don't know if he starts Arsenal in Game Week 33, so I'm actually okay about not having him on my free hit. I think he starts 120 minutes last night, Crystal Palace this weekend. which I think Chelsea have to go full strength, right? The FA Cup is almost becoming a bit of a priority now, right? So we need to beat Palace. And then that Arsenal game, whilst it's still very important because top four is not wrapped up, we might see a little bit of rotation. That might be an Aspi game. It could be a Lukaku game for Havertz to come out. If these guys need a rest, that could be the game in which they get a little bit of rotation. But yeah, good for FPL in the respect that no more Champions League clashes. So Reece James, who's in my team, I've had him for 2 weeks, 2 1-pointers. I'm now expecting to have a chance of getting those 15, 20 pointers that you can get from Reece James when he starts. If he had started against Southampton, the positions Ruben Loftus-Cheek got into at right wing back, Reece James would have had a field day.
I mean, they were terrible, weren't they? I mean, Chelsea was so impressive against them. They were so impressive against Real Madrid yesterday as well. I mean, I didn't think any game this season was going to top the Liverpool-Man City game, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then that game last night was even better, I thought.
It was obscene, wasn't it?
Definitely the best game I've watched this season. It's just relentless attacking, great passage of play. You know, mistakes, goals, back heels, flicks, tricks. It just had everything, didn't it? It was
even the defending from Chelsea, like seeing Rudiger was like a man possessed. Reece James was so comfortable. Kovacic bossed the midfield. And then you look up front and like for all those England fans that aren't sure about Mason Mount for some weird reason, I'm sorry, you are so lucky to have Mason Mount, England fans. What a player. Same with Reece. Like you look at, and Havertz led the line so well. I'm gutted, but I am so proud of them.
What they needed was a £100 million striker to come off the bench, maybe, and hold the ball up. But obviously, that wasn't to be. But yeah, great game. Let's talk about the other great game that happened at the weekend, which was Liverpool City. You know, a lot of the time these big games don't live up to the billing. Liverpool City normally does, to be fair, and it did again. And yeah, you must be pretty happy. I mean, you had 3 players in that match, all got returns. Trent, Cancelo and Salah. Just a good game, right?
Shows the sort of level of premium defenders, right? We know even when City and Liverpool concede, as both did, Trent and Cancelo can still return. Like conceded 2 goals, both still clocked a return. Yes, please. That's why we buy them. Even when clean sheets are far from nailed, as they weren't this weekend, they still come up. And Cancelo, I just thought was magnificent again. And look, the top 10K don't get many things wrong, do they? You look at the top 10K and all those players that are on 80, 90% owned, they're there for a reason. Your Sakas, your Kanes, your Salahs. You see these EOs every week of top 10K. Those guys are always close to 100. The top 10K have made one error that I've seen this season, which is like amazing, right? Cancelo is always around 50% in the top 10K in terms of effective ownership. Why? Like this should be the first name on the team sheet. And look, I don't want to sound smug because I have him, because there's other players in the top 10K who I should, the top 10K have that I don't have. Son is a prime example, but Cancelo is so good and he's so affordable. Like 6, was he 7 now? I think I paid 6-ish.
Yeah, he's 7.
But yeah, he's had a million price rise, hasn't he? Like guys, if you haven't got Cancelo in your team, don't worry about the doubles or the singles or the blanks. Get Cancelo in.
I tried to make a case on Black Box last week for Laporte over Cancelo, just purely if your financial problems like I've got meant that you didn't have to rip your team up to get Cancelo. I watched that game at the weekend, and it's just impossible to make a case against him. Like the control City had. I was who was I talking to about this yesterday? I was saying the control City had in that game, they would have beaten pretty much any other team in the world 3 or 4-0. They'd have been completely out of sight by half time. It was only because they came against a Liverpool team that were determined not to get trounced in that match. They were the only team that I think could have gone against them, because they were absolutely incredible all over the pitch, I thought. De Bruyne, I mean, the way De Bruyne carries the ball out of midfield, he just takes like 2 strides, takes out about 2 players and then plays the perfect ball for whoever's running onto it. You know, Sterling was a bit wasteful, but I thought they were absolutely excellent. But the outlet they've got with Cancelo on the left, crazy.
I said earlier in the season he's more dangerous at left back than right back, and I think that point may have been proven. I think Pep prefers him at left back. I just love the fact he can come inside on that right foot and bend balls towards that far post. It also makes his shooting more dangerous when he plays on the left, because he can cut in on that right foot. And he had a couple of shots in that Liverpool game. He always looks a goal threat. I think I heard a stat the other day. I think Cancelo's had more shots than any other Man City player this season.
Yeah.
Their left back has had more shots than any other player.
He's had the most shots of all defenders by something like 30 or something, and
Wow.
second is Rudiger.
Really?
Yeah.
All of Rudiger's are 40-yarders though, aren't they?
They are, yeah. I mean, a lot of Cancelo's are, to be honest. He doesn't often have too many shots in the box, but he has a lot of shots, which is like, this is the point Luke was making on Black Box, and I was maybe a bit too kind of disparaging about it. But I mean, obviously I've watched a lot of Cancelo this season. I know how good he is, but I figured, okay, if Laporte covers the clean sheets, then how many points are you actually going to be losing? I think Cancelo is the top scoring defender now between now and the end of the season. And I know I kind of thought that anyway, but when you watch that game against Liverpool and you watch, you think about him, you just think you've got to have him. I agree. I'm getting him in this week. I'm not favouring doubles.
Good.
Yeah, he's coming. Coming in.
He's a bonus points magnet as well. As in that 2-2 game in which he didn't score a goal, he's still got a bonus point. Like, he's just so good.
Yeah. Like Ted says in the chat, though, I mean, only one goal. Like, his conversion rate is absolutely awful. But yeah, it's I mean, second most assists or something in the league. He's just a complete fullback.
He's got something like 9 or 10 assists, and KDB's only got 3. Like, you think of KDB as the assist king at Man City.
Yeah.
Cancelo this year.
Yeah. Other players. Let's talk about Arsenal, because they have completely gone off the rails. Saka with 1 point for you, Ramsdale with 1. Again, these are key players, top 10k, own 2 of these. I've got Lacazette as well. I mean, he's rubbish anyway, but he's not getting points or goals. What do you make of Arsenal? Do you think they're... I mean, obviously, Xhaka at left back was a complete disaster. Partey's out. Are they going to recover?
They're not going to get top 4, are they? They're just not. I think they'll use, and Arsenal fans might default to, Tierney got injured and then look what happened. But it hasn't looked right for a couple of weeks, even pre-Tierney injury. And they just look like... We've not seen this. This Arsenal team is inexperienced, right? You look at the young attacking players in that team, and Lacazette's in the team, but you look at the 3 behind them, they're kids. They haven't been there. They haven't done that. They haven't got many leaders in the team. Especially with Tierney out, that is another leader they're missing. But then the injuries to the likes of Partey, having to play Xhaka left back, I don't think they're going to get top 4. And I think they've got a few tricky games. I don't even know in terms of FPL if there are any players I'd be jumping on now. I think if you've got Saka, you hold him. But all the others, I'd be tempted to sell. Even the likes of Ramsdale, even the likes of Lacazette. I'm looking at these guys. If they didn't have a double game week, I think they'd be having mass sales. My free hit draft, which we're going to see shortly, when I planned it 3-4 weeks ago and I put together a free hit draft, I had like double Burnley defence, double or triple Arsenal attack, or triple Arsenal in my team. I think I had Martinelli, Saka, and a defender. Now I've got one, and I don't even know if I'm going to go with him, and I've got no Burnley. Just how things change, right?
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal 2 weeks ago were the informed team, playing amazing football, blowing teams away. They have that loss against Palace, and you think, okay, that's just a blip. And then another loss against Brighton. They need to pick it up, because, like you say, Spurs are just in relentless form, and Arsenal are going to be out of it. So they've got Southampton, which is a great game at the moment because Southampton look completely off. And then Chelsea, there might be rotation there, like you say. I think Saka would be a player that I'd keep, but Saka, Martinelli, Lacazette, Ramsdale, I don't think I'd be going near the defence.
No, I think Southampton could still score again at St Mary's. I know Chelsea absolutely smashed them, but I look at that Arsenal defence and think they can still be got at. Shea Adams, Broja can still be dangerous. So I don't even think that's a gimme result. And then a Chelsea-Arsenal game, I don't know. Chelsea could be very tired by then. But again, like Chelsea go into it as massive favourites. I can't see it. Arsenal do not look like the team anymore that are going to score more than a goal or 2 a game. And a month ago, they would look like they could score 4 or 5 goals a game, which is when we love them in FPL.
Yep. Come on to your free hits in a minute. Just for people who aren't free hitting, just touch on a few more players. I mean, Rafinha now, I guess, is a sell, right? Unfortunately.
I don't know. I've got enough money in the bank to go Rafinha Foden in 34 for Watford in. Foden plays Watford. That was the plan. But it could be Saka to Foden. What I'm loving about Rafinha, and Crystal Palace and Leeds are 2 teams I just want to give a little shout out to. This point in the season, we're worried about beach teams, right? And sometimes we see those mid teams, ones that aren't going to get European places, aren't going to go anywhere near the relegation zone, not much to play for. Are they on the beach already? And there's some teams in which I categorize beach teams. And these are professional footballers. Maybe that's naive to say so. But Aston Villa, for example, I might say I'm not going for an Aston Villa player because I just feel like they're a beach team at the moment. But then it goes the other way. And you look at Leeds players and Crystal Palace players and you go, they're playing with a little bit of freedom because they've not got a huge amount to play for. They're expressing themselves more than they have before. Leeds, for example, had that threat of relegation over their head. It affected their game plan. It affected how they performed on the pitch. They were cautious. They were nervous. Mistakes were happening. Now they're nailed to stay up. New managers had a bit of time. Some of them are playing for moves next year, i.e. Rafinha, or better contracts, Calvin Phillips. And because of that, we see an increase in performance and we see expression on the pitch. And because of that, we see goals. Leeds scored 3 against Watford. They're looking really dangerous. They're looking like they can go and score 2-3 goals a game. And with that in mind, I think Rafinha, who's got a couple of nice fixtures, 1 or 2 tricky ones where I could bench him, but then a couple of really nice ones. He does play in the double in 36. I might keep him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the blank in 33. So if you're free hitting, you haven't got to worry about that. Palace
Exactly.
away in 34. Palace, one great performance against Arsenal and then losing to Leicester in a game I thought they'd win that. And then they got City, zone 35, so that'd be obviously a bench. But then it's a double. Arsenal-Chelsea, not a great double, but it's still a double. And then it's Brighton and Brentford to see out the season. So seeing a lot of people selling Rafinha, but I think there's definitely a case to hold him off the back of that.
Gameweek 37 is the last game at Ellen Road for Rafinha, potentially against Brighton. I like that. Or his last game in a Leeds shirt against Brentford. I like that as well. We see those big scorelines at the end of the season sometimes, don't we? Come game week 37, 38. And I just feel like Leeds might be involved in a couple of those big scorelines.
Yep. Final question before we move on to free hit team is Son. Because you haven't got him, I haven't got him.
Oh.
I mean, the issue was for us, with having Kane, Kulusevski and Doherty, how the hell do you get Son? I mean, it's obviously it's Kulusevski out of those 3 that you probably looked at, but I don't know. He's such good value. It's hard to move him. Doherty's out now. Should people be prioritising getting Son in?
Yeah. If he was cheaper, it'd be easy. You sell Doherty to Shah and you change your Saka or your Rafinha to Son. But Son is so much more expensive. You can't do that. And Doherty, we're not selling a premium defender here and replacing him with a budget. So in one move, or in 2 moves, with a 4-point hit, I can't see many doing that unless you're compromising a Salah. And I don't think people are going to necessarily do that. So look, I would love to get Son in, but I don't see how I can bring Son in other than when I'm on my free hits. So when I free hit this week, I'm looking at it. When I free hit in 36 or 37, I'll probably have Son in, but I've probably just got to suck it up and go, I'm not going to be able to get him unless I'm on my chips, which is still two of the next 6-7 weeks. So I'll probably take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of advantage. People who've saved the wild card for this stage, I think they're the ones that are going to be definitely finding it quite easy to get in Son because it definitely requires some kind of surgery to bring him in, unless you're selling Kane, which I guess is an option, which is something I thought I wouldn't be saying a little while ago. But again, I love the fact Kane takes up that striker spot. And there's Ivan Toney now. He's probably the second best option, maybe Chris Wood, something like that. But it's not great. At least Kane is there, so you've got to play a striker each week. That's you can't do a pep and play 6 midfielders. It's a tricky one. I think it's too hard to get Son, and I'm still gonna go without him. But
I think I'm going to have to. And there is also Man City midfielders to consider as well as sure, we all want Son, but we've already got Kane. We've already got Kulu. We don't have any Man City midfielders, and maybe we just need one of them. Maybe we need to prioritise a Foden, or if you can reach it, a KDB, because they've got Watford in 34, and that could be That could be huge.
I'd rather have sort of KDB and Kulu than Jota and Son, for example. I'm seeing quite a few people do, but again, neither of them are bad options. It's just kind of preference going forward. I really like KDB between now and the end of the season. He's very hard to get to, even harder than Son. Right, let's take a look at your free hit team. So this is what you sent me earlier today. It's 7, I believe, double game week players. It's Schmeichel in goal with Cancelo, Dan Burn and Shah, double Newcastle defence. Wow, who thought we'd be saying that at the start of the season? Fernandes captain, Maddison, Son, Saka, Ronaldo, Kane, and Wood. Now, I think this is probably as good as it gets for a free hit team. So I was very impressed when you sent this over. I think you've got to go if you're going to free hit, you've got to go for it. You've got to get the double United strikers. You've got to look at the fixtures. Newcastle have the best 2 fixtures, so you've got to triple up on them, and then you've got to hope that Leicester turn up, and then you've got to have some of the single game week players. You've got to have you've got to have Kane and Son really, and you've got to have Cancelo. So
yeah. Thank you, Az. I think I've got 8 doublers because Saka also plays twice. So 8 out of 11, which I'm happy with. I think I didn't want to go complete sort of kamikaze mode and go for 11 doublers, and I think some very brave FPL managers are going for that. But I just feel the single game week Son, the single game week Kane, and a single game week Cancelo are needed. You could argue single game week Salah is needed as well. But you've got to take a few risks, and Son could become, or Harry Kane could be replaced with Salah in this team. But again, I'd have to find a million, and that could be Maddison down. Now, would I prefer Kane versus? No, Kane doesn't play Villa. Who does Kane play? Kane versus Brighton.
I'm updating it now. I don't know what I've managed to do.
Kane versus Brighton, or would I rather Salah versus United? I don't know. That's a tough one to call. Look. I know a lot saying in the chat, Leicester assets, Maddison, will he play both? I don't know. That Leicester asset might change. I'll be watching the game closely tonight to see energy levels. Look, Leicester on Thursday night in tomorrow night, Eindhoven, could play 120 minutes. If they do, I don't want Maddison anywhere near my team. Schmeichel is the only Leicester asset I can guarantee is going to play both those games. And of course he will, because even the second choice keeper at Leicester is injured. Jakupovic isn't going to play a Premier League game for Leicester. So Schmeichel's in there. Triple Newcastle. I didn't think I'd be here a couple of weeks ago. When I planned this free hit draft a few weeks back and I put it together, I had Martinelli in there. I had double Burnley defence in there. Now I might go Taylor. I could go Taylor and I could go Dubravka in goal and Taylor instead of Burn. So no Leicester defence and still have my double Newcastle with keeper and then put Taylor, because there's something telling me Burnley are still going to start grinding out some clean sheets, but I need to know more about that Ben Mee injury before I commit there. And then United defence, loads in the chat, and a lot of drafts I've seen have got Tellez in. I don't know. I could go De Gea as well. I just think Liverpool are going to put minus points on United defenders. And sure, Norwich should be a clean sheet, but I don't know. I've already got a lot of eggs in that basket with United and captaincy.
Yeah, sorry, I've updated the fixtures now. I don't know how I managed to mess that up. That one is. I can't even blame the tools this time. That is definitely just me. So it's 8 free hitters that you've got. Your single game week players are Cancelo, Son, and Kane, all versus Brighton.
Oh God, yeah. Who looked really good against Arsenal? I mean, Mwepo playing centre mid, dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, the big omission here is what Henrique Custodio says in the chat. No Liverpool players at all.
Yep.
Now, you were one of the people that got burnt by this exact fixture at the start of the season when you went for Havertz captain against United and Salah went crazy. You've got to be concerned, haven't you? No Trent, no Salah at all, and Fernandes and Ronaldo, who have been so unreliable. That's the biggest worry. It's got to be, right?
Yeah. And my big dilemmas are, and I know they're slightly different price points, but I could have Cancelo or Trent, and I'm prioritising Cancelo. I could have Son or Salah, and I've gone Son. Liverpool playing in the FA Cup against Man City this weekend could really affect the team they put out against United. I know United's a big game, and I know they've got a title to win, but if some of those players get a knock or get 120 minutes, now sure, Salah and Trent are the two of the nailed starters in that team every game. They might not play 90 against United. If they're comfortable, they might come off early. They may have the threat of injury in that game. I just prefer backing Son, for example, who I know will be fresh. And sure, Cancelo could play 120 minutes as well. And could be a threat for not playing against Brighton, but at least he's a slightly cheaper asset. And I think at the moment, I think he's scoring more points than Trent.
Have you got money in the bank with this team?
No, this team was something like 0.0 left in the bank. And yeah, I'm not sold on all these players. Like Maddison could save me a lot of money. So I could go Dewsbury Hall and Salah instead of Maddison and Son quite comfortably, for example.
Yeah, I mean,
but I really want Spurs. I really want to go double Spurs. I'm pretty sold on Kane and Son. Those two combined so well. I only need a couple of goals, and I know it's those two that are involved. I promise myself when I free hit, I will have Son, and I'm not willing to sell Kane either.
Because let's take a look at some of the players you're taking out. This is a fun game, isn't it? On the free hit, so you're taking out Ramsdale first of all in goal. So okay, Arsenal been pretty poor defensively. But, game against Southampton, Chelsea, you've mentioned could be rotation. Is there a lot in it between him and Schmeichel? I'd rather have Schmeichel, probably. Schmeichel probably just edges it. You're taking out Trent. You're taking out Reece James. Both of them start. That's big,
ceilings.
And you're taking those out for Burnham Shaw, who, at the end of the day, are Newcastle defenders. You're taking out Salah for Fernandes. You're taking out Havertz as well.
My boy,
boy,
that pains me.
Your absolute boy. And then you're taking out Kulusevski for Son, which, okay, I think we're all now agreed that Son is the upgrade on Kula. But again, you never really know what could happen. It's a variant swing, could see Kulusevski hit that quite big. And then you're keeping Kane, and you're basically bringing in sort of Ronaldo's your big. That's where kind of you're taking out all of your kind of lesser players and putting all of those eggs into that kind of Ronaldo basket, and then you've got kind of Wood in there as well. I mean, there is a lot of risk in the players that you're taking out, right? Yeah. And the big kind of calls, you basically need Fernandes, Ronaldo, and Newcastle to turn up.
Yeah, I've got a legit captaincy option in Bruno, and I do think he's the standout option. If you're not free hitting this week, you're having to captain your Spurs player pretty much, I think, or you're gambling on a Saka or a Wood, because you want a double game. If you've got even, I think there'll be a lot of Weghorst to Wood transfers. So I've got the standout captaincy, which I'm happy to back. I do think United could go and pummel Norwich. I really do. Like it's one of those games where I know United have been out of sorts, but it's at Old Trafford and it's Norwich. Surely that has to be a good scoreline.
Would you be massively surprised if they won it sort of 1-0?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was 4-5-0 either.
So
now, I wouldn't waste a transfer on one of these guys. Like if I wasn't free hitting, I wouldn't be beelining for them. But because I have the luxury, I have to just go big on it. And look, the chat all seem to think I need to have lots of Liverpool players and I should be picking a Liverpool forward depending on who plays in the semi-final. Guys, I don't have that luxury. I can't gamble on a Jota or a Diaz knowing they were benched in the semi-final and they're going to start their league game because the deadline's way before the FA Cup games. So again, that's part of my thinking with why I can't go Liverpool. Because, I could swap Maddison for Diaz. That'd be nice, but I don't know if Diaz is going to start.
I mean, honestly, this free hit is all or nothing. This is it. This free hit will probably determine where you finish this season, whether you have a season inside the top 5k or whether if you're struggling for top 10, top 20. Because not to be too dramatic, but this kind of free hit could see you you could be in the top 5k come the end of this week easily if it works out. If Liverpool go and absolutely smash United and Newcastle don't deliver, and Salah gets 2 goals, and I mean there's a lot that could go wrong here. It makes me nervous but also excited.
This is the sort of free hit as I would have made when I was playing FPL 10 years ago, and I didn't even know a thing called overall rank existed. And I didn't know how to check things like ownership. I just picked the players I wanted for that week.
Good.
So this is going back to how I used to play when it was just going, without fear, pretty much. This is playing without fear, right? And I genuinely think that's often the best way to go. Sure, you have to consider things like ownership, but at this point of the season, I'm finding it really hard to make big gains. I've been around in between the 10 and 15k rank now for a fair few weeks, and I'm going up and down a couple of hundred places each week. And to be honest, if I carry on as I am and I play really safe, I'll probably finish with that exact rank on screen, somewhere between 10 and 15k. For me, it's top 10k, or I might as well finish at 30k. So I want to get into that top 10K. And to do that, I've got to go and have a little free swing. Now, these free hits are meant to be fun. I've still covered some of the assets that
it's
are
all
highly
meant to be
owned.
fun, Gianni. It just never is.
I wish. So yeah, look, the big players that can hurt me this week, the really big one is of course Trent and Salah. But I'm willing for 1 week to go without them, I guess. I have to because no Trent and Salah, pretty much, I know different positions, allows me Ronaldo and Bruno in a roundabout way. And I think it's worth it because one of those guys is getting the armband. I don't think many are going to captain Salah on current form. I don't think the fixture puts anyone off, but I think current form puts people off. Therefore, I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
He'll still have 100% effective ownership, Salah, won't he?
Yeah, he will. Yeah, I'd imagine so.
He always does.
He's still going to be very popular. I mean, it's hard for me. I mean, I'm looking at my team without using the free hit, and I'm trying to pick a captain option, and it's really tricky because I think Maddison probably is the kind of easier to get option if you're struggling, but I think he probably misses one of those two fixtures, or is benched and gets 30 minutes in one. So I mean, Barnes.
Yeah, I don't think Maddison's going to stay in this team. He's the one I can say I'm actually least certain about.
Yeah, I mean, Barnes has just been really, really poor. That's been the problem. He got the rest in the last game, and
rested or dropped. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has been absolutely rubbish, whereas Maddison's been looking really good. So I think I'd opt for Maddison over Barnes, and that just shows again it's really tricky to predict these Leicester teams and who's going to do well. I mean, Dewsbury Hall's come in and looks was he 4.4 something like that. He might be the one to get, but obviously you're not going to get him on a free hit team because you're going to try and hit the big points that Maddison provides.
The higher ceiling. I could convert. This sounds even crazier. Quite a lot more money, but I could get there. Maddison could become Sancho. Triple United attack plus United captaincy. That does mean moving Saka down to a Dewsbury Hall or maybe a Martinelli and then another trim elsewhere. Yeah, that fourth midfield spot in Maddison, I really don't know where I'm going with it. It could, but if Barnes plays well on Thursday night, it could be Barnes. Knowing he has had fewer minutes, might be more likely to play both games. I don't know. It could go to a lot of places. It could go for a punt on like a Ward-Prowse. I don't know. I don't know about that fourth midfielder spot.
Yeah, Craig's in the chat saying this is a conservative free hit.
What?
I think that's harsh. I mean, okay, you've got 3 single game week players, but you're not going to take out Son. You're not going to take out Cancelo. I mean, Kane maybe, but for who? For Ward-Prowse?
There's nothing conservative about putting 25% of your budget in Man United's attack and captaining them. United are rubbish.
I think going triple Newcastle and double United is about as unconservative as it gets for me. Because I mean, you're fighting two fronts, aren't you? You're fighting against some of the higher owned players, sort of where you are in the world, in the sort of top 10k ish rank, like your Salah and your Trent. But then you're also fighting against your old team with your James, your Havertz, Kulusevski. You know, there's a lot that can go wrong, but at the same time, there's a lot of reward that could be done. Yeah, I'm excited.
I hope there's a lot of reward, the more I talk about it and the more I look at this team and dislike it, and I don't love it, I keep telling myself the risk is huge and the reward is actually quite minimal. I'm hoping I'm proving myself wrong and proving most people watching wrong by saying, actually, United can go and score 5 goals this game week. Maybe they get 3 against Norwich or 4 against Norwich and 1 against Liverpool. Now, I know that's really unlikely, but I just feel like it could happen. And if that happens, I win big and that's high reward. But at the moment, I'm looking at it sort of as a really real sort of look and going, okay, real talk. The risk is massive. The reward is minimal. What am I doing? But I've committed to this.
That's the tagline for this free hit. The risk is massive. The reward is minimal. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I look at this free hit team and it doesn't make me think I need to use my free hit to do it. I mean, you've got 2, so it's a bit different for you, and I think it's an exciting way to play it, but there aren't too many players that worry me here, kind of going forward, and I'm happy to stick with the Liverpool triple up that I've got. But yeah,
who's your third Liverpool?
I've got double.
Oh, you got Robbo.
Trent
Of course you got Robbo, yeah.
Yeah, Trent and Robbo.
By the way, guys, Chris Wood, I think, is a great pick this week. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but the reason I've gone triple Newcastle is massively the St. James's Park factor. I love this Newcastle team when St. James's Park is bouncing, and at the moment it is. But also the fact that both their opponents, Leicester and Crystal Palace, are both off the back of potentially 120 minutes or certainly high-energy cup games, right? So Leicester will have just come back from Eindhoven. They could be knackered. Whether they win or not, we could see that affect them. And Crystal Palace have just played Chelsea in an FA Cup semi. So again, like I think Newcastle, the fresher team for both these games. Chris Wood, now he's got his goal. I think we could see a bit of momentum there. I'm actually quite confident about my Newcastle players. Now, am I confident of clean sheets? Maybe not. But I think Dan Burn and Shark could both comfortably get me 8 points. And then Chris Wood the same. So I'd take those 24 points from 3 Newcastle players, which I think is fairly doable.
Bet you would. I'm looking at Gomeres.
I love that pick. I mean, what is he? 5 million, 4.8.
Yeah, it's 4.9. He's 4.9.
Yeah, I like that pick. He looked really threatening at the weekend. Now he's getting game time. He looks advanced. I prefer him to Dewsbury Hall just because I know he's going to play both games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's in the same bracket potentially as like Gordon, Dewsbury Hall, Ramsey. You know, these kind of like 4 or 5 enablers. I think he's an interesting player because I think his kind of, you look at his heat map and he does drop deep, but he's box to box, right? We've seen box to box midfielders in the past do quite well. Tielemans has been a decent option for us. You look at Ramsey back when he was at Arsenal. Yaya Toure, Ward-Prowse. These guys can kind of deliver on their day because their timing and their runs into the box. I mean, he's a classy player. Yeah, I think people are worried about his minutes, but there's no risk to his minutes. I don't think now going forward, he plays. He's probably the best player in that side, like talent wise.
Yeah, it's just those looking back and going, oh, we didn't get loads of minutes 5-10 game weeks ago. But that's because he was being eased into the team. Like now he's up and running.
Winning every game as well, so hard to drop, wasn't it? He looks like the best player. He looks like the best technically gifted player on that pitch, when he plays for Newcastle, and he clearly is. And at Lyon, I think he got quite a lot of goal involvement, so they'll come for sure. And yeah, the Ryan Fraser injury, I think a little bit less bite in that attack means St. Max is playing wide left, which I think helps Wood. A few saying go St. Max over Wood, same price, same position. My fear there is St. Maximin doesn't play both games because he just always picks up an injury. I can't guarantee he's not going to get injured versus Leicester and therefore miss out the Palace game. So Wood's the safe pick for minutes. Pens as well with Wood. I'd go Wood, I think, over St. Max. Nice, right? God, we could talk about this all day. I hope you stick with it. There's a few people saying they reckon Salah's going to come in last minute, but I mean, maybe for Ronaldo, would that be a temptation? Ronaldo out for Salah, or would you back Ronaldo over Salah?
No, I think Ronaldo and Bruno are pretty set in this team. Bruno's definitely set. The way Salah potentially comes in would be for Harry Kane. I'd go one Spurs attack, and I would really want that to be Son. So Kane could become Salah. Yeah, but I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I just think I'm backing Spurs knowing they'd have had a week off and Liverpool would have had that fixture congestion. The way Liverpool are playing at the moment, the way Spurs are playing at the moment, I think they outscore Liverpool this week. How many goals do we think Spurs are going to get against Brighton? I think they could get 3 or 4.
Come on.
I think Liverpool against United might be a slightly lower ceiling. I think that could be 2 or 3.
I don't think Spurs batter us. Webster's back. Now I think we're
back. Good result against Arsenal, also away from home.
I think we can see 2 max. I don't think they score 3 or 4.
Spurs, Son running in behind though. Is that a fear? I don't know. Put yourself on dunk for pace, and Son's just going to have so much joy. It's going to be the same Spurs play. Kane dropping deep in behind. When Spurs play Liverpool and Arsenal later in the season, I think we'll see Harry Kane playing number 9. But at the moment, we're seeing Harry Kane playing 10, and I think he'll do the same against Brighton. I think Son could cause them problems.
We don't tend to get caught out on the counter too much, though. I think Son's had some big results against teams that have been massively caught out by that. We don't tend to concede too many counter-attacking goals.
And your midfield's good. Like it won the battle against Arsenal, didn't it? Like Basuma, you might expect Brighton to win that midfield battle, as Aston Villa did in that first half against Spurs, but it's the counter that hurts.
Yeah, Lamptey should start this one, who gives us some cover from that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be hard if you were, gun to my head, who scores more, Kane versus Salah? It's a real 50-50. Cool. I think I'd probably maybe edge towards Salah if I could pick one, but there's not a lot in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a. That is the position that's up for grabs, and I'd find the extra money by Maddison being downgraded, who I'm not sold on anyway, because I as I said earlier, I don't know who's going to have that midfield spot. There's not really any nice double game week options. It could be Martinelli.
Yeah,
I might go Martinelli just to hopefully back that Arsenal can score big against Southampton.
Yeah. I mean, they look.
Which I don't expect, but it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, they need a result. If they don't score a couple against Southampton the way they've been playing, that really is that's it, isn't it? That's top 4 done. If they don't win against Southampton, that is it. There's no chance. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Right. 42 minutes. Nice. Gianni,
enjoyed
awesome
that.
As always. Yeah, really good. Always good to talk to you. I'm interested to see what you end up with, but I imagine it's going to look fairly similar to that. We'll be back next week to discuss it.
Oh, I'm dreading that. I'm dreading that because one thing I can almost guarantee is my arrow this next week will not be up or down 100 or 200 as it's been in the last month.
No way.
It's going to be a big green or a big red.
It's going to be a big green or a red. I'm optimistic. I wish I was. I think it comes in for you. I reckon you're in. I'm going to predict 7K.
For all those watching that haven't hit the free hit 33 button that are thinking about it, they do it.
It's not worth it. That's good for me because I'm half tempted to do it, but yeah, I probably won't. Right, excellent. Thanks everyone in the chat. Really good, really interactive this one. Hi to all the podcast listeners as well. If you haven't liked this video, please do that on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel as well, and we will be back next week.
See you guys.